public feuds, day drinking, and sexual assault. With great fame comes great entitlement, and some of Hollywood's finest are just downright jerks. As Kendall Roy on HBO's Succession, Jeremy Strong stars in one of the biggest shows on television. But as his career has been on a massive upswing, his reputation amongst his fellow actors has taken a bit of a hit. Though he rejects the label himself, Strong is frequently described as a method actor. Phenomenal results can be achieved by remaining in character in this fashion. But the tactics of method actors often rub crew members and castmates the wrong way. One notorious profile on Strong in The New Yorker struck a particularly powerful blow to his public reputation. The profile revealed that while shooting Succession, he was prone to preparing rehearsed speeches and trying to pass them off as improvisation, as well as getting inebriated on set when his character fell off the wagon. His castmates have described his method acting approach as occasionally frustrating or intrusive, but none have been more vocally opposed to his habits than Brian Cox, who plays Strong's on-screen father, Logan Roy. During an interview with Town & Country, Cox said that he thinks Strong is a fantastic actor, but that he finds his method acting style to be annoying. Succession is far from the only production where Strong's method acting has been an impediment for others. On the trial of the Chicago 7, he frequently ruined takes by pulling pranks while in character as hippie Jerry Rubin. And for one scene, he requested to be blasted with real tear gas, even though that would have meant putting hundreds of extras and crew members through the same physical torment. Gérard Depardieu is one of the most celebrated actors in the history of French cinema. Having nearly 250 credits in his filmography over the course of 5 decades, Depardieu has played many iconic and acclaimed roles. With such superstardom inflating his ego, he has been known to act as if the rules didn't apply to him. Depardieu committed petty crime in his youth, and he's had plenty of brushes with the law after becoming a star as well.
Did you steal?
Steal?
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
His scandals ran the gamut from physical assault and frequent fighting to white-collar crimes connected to his numerous businesses, to a weird incident in which he urinated on a plane.
You were flying to Ireland?
Yes, I pee on the plane, yes.
During the #MeToo movement, Depardieu was accused of sexual assault by more than a dozen women, most of whom were actors or crew members who worked with him. As reported by the Associated Press, 13 accusers came out against him, while also suggesting that his total number of victims was surely much higher since he had a reputation for frequently groping and fondling the extras on his film shoots. Depardieu has often been hailed as one of the greatest actors of his generation, but incredible performances don't justify his actions by any stretch of the imagination. Tommy Lee Jones is a 4-time Oscar nominee and 1-time winner for his role in 1994's The Fugitive. He is known less for his range and more for his reliability when it comes to playing rugged, ornery characters. The dial can shift from violent and intense, such as in films like The Hunted, to comedically slanted, as we see in Men in Black. Regardless, the same core archetype of a curmudgeon is usually present. And as it turns out, this baseline character type is close to home for Jones. In a 2006 edition of Texas Monthly, the actor was profiled in a piece titled "Tommy Lee Jones is Not Acting," which posited that he really is the rude and grumpy fellow that he routinely plays on screen. He is known to be incredibly impolite to the press and the general public, and that behavior extends to film sets. When Jim Carrey appeared on Norm Macdonald Live, he recounted his experiences working with Jones on Batman Forever.
He said he couldn't sanction my buffoonery.
Tobey Maguire is best known for starring as Spider-Man in the Sam Raimi trilogy, and he recently reprised a role in Spider-Man No Way Home. The heroic, morally upright side of the character is allegedly not one shared by Maguire personally. For many years, the actor has had a reputation for being hard to work with and extremely troublesome behind the scenes. His rude, out-of-control behavior on sets has drawn fire from his co-stars, and his public outbursts captured by paparazzi have hurt his image with the general public. Maguire is one of the only successful Hollywood stars to be so incendiary in real life that he became the villain of a woman's non-fiction autobiography and its corresponding film adaptation. The 2017 film Molly's Game tells the true story of Molly Bloom, who ran high-stakes poker games for Hollywood celebrities. In the film, Michael Cera plays an antagonist who goes by Player X. He makes it his mission to destroy Bloom's reputation and livelihood while also being as awful as possible to his fellow players at every turn. Though the character's true identity remains unnamed in the movie, Bloom names him outright as Tobey Maguire in her autobiography. Dustin Hoffman has given some of the best and most influential performances of all time. His roles in films like The Graduate and Midnight Cowboy were instrumental in ushering the new Hollywood movement, completely changing the film industry of the late 1960s and 1970s. One of his most acclaimed films was Kramer vs. Kramer, in which he plays a husband who is left in charge of his young son when his wife leaves him. Hoffman earned his first Oscar win for the role, but his methods for achieving that performance were questionable, to say the least. Hoffman was engaging in hardcore method acting for the role and took it upon himself to force what he considered to be a stronger performance out of co-star Meryl Streep, who also won her first Oscar for the film. While indulging in frequent improvisation, Hoffman slapped Streep, smashed a real glass against the wall right beside her head without warning, and made low-blow insults about her recently deceased boyfriend, actor John Cazale.
I'm leaving you.
Honey, please. I can't hear.
Far worse than all of his nasty on-set behavior, however, are the numerous sexual assault allegations that have been made against Hoffman. As reported in Forbes, his accusers came into contact with Hoffman through film shoots and his theatrical performances on Broadway, making working with him in any capacity an unpleasant proposition. Jennifer Lopez has drawn acclaim for both her music and her acting, as well as for having led a successful career as a producer. Despite her legions of die-hard fans, Lopez's reputation is far less sterling when it comes to those who have to work with her, not just enjoy her output from a distance. She has frequently been described as difficult or outright impossible to work with professionally. Lopez has shown a tendency to lash out at and insult other celebrities when giving interviews. One of the celebrities that Lopez was most harsh towards was Cameron Diaz, in a now infamous interview with Movie Line. When the two were cast alongside each other in What to Expect When You're Expecting, there was obviously a lot of animosity on set. This was far from being an isolated incident, as there are countless stories of her making life harder for co-stars and crew members, and even members of the general public, such as a hotel maid who she reportedly had fired for asking for an autograph. Lopez has since denied that claim. Lara Flynn Boyle's big breakout role was on the one-of-a-kind television phenomenon Twin Peaks. She played Donna Haywood, the best friend of murder victim Laura Palmer. Boyle starred in both of the show's 2 seasons before it was prematurely cancelled by ABC. When the prequel movie Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me was released just 1 year after the cancellation, Boyle was no longer involved, although her character still was. The recasting of Donna Haywood with Moira Kelly raised fans' suspicions that behind-the-scenes issues had led to Boyle's removal from Twin Peaks, especially considering the fact that she was the only cast member replaced. When the 2017 revival of the series Twin Peaks: A Return finally came to fruition many years later, Boyle publicly voiced her desire to return to the series. Instead, creator David Lynch purposefully excluded her, despite pretty much everyone else returning. Her behind-the-scenes romances were considered by some to be a hindrance to the series. According to an AV Club interview with Sherilyn Fenn, she allegedly put a stop to the planned romance between the Dale Cooper and Audrey Horne characters because she was dating actor Kyle MacLachlan in real life. Boyle had a few other major roles outside of Twin Peaks, but as word spread of her being difficult to work with, her good roles dried up. These days, her acting gigs are few and far apart, and frequently take the form of trashy B-movies like Hansel and Gretel Get Baked. Casey Affleck is a younger brother of fellow actor Ben Affleck. The brothers have worked together many times over the years, but Casey Affleck's career took a bit longer to reach the heights of his brothers. Still, many film critics considered him to be the superior actor of the two, and the one who has consistently chosen more interesting projects. His performances in movies like The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford and Manchester by the Sea both drew widespread acclaim, and the latter even earned him his first Oscar win.
I'm sorry, Lee. He passed away about an hour ago.
As reported by the Daily Beast, Affleck was accused of sexual harassment by multiple women, including the cinematographer and the producer of 2010's I'm Still Here. The accusations led to a pair of lawsuits that Affleck settled out of court. On the same shoot, Affleck partially admitted to creating an unsafe work environment and that he was rarely sober throughout the production. According to The Guardian, he encouraged his cast and crew to party with him as part of the mockumentary experience. Sean Penn is a 5-time nominee and 2-time Oscar winner with many acclaimed performances, and even a few films as a director under his belt. Over the years, he has developed something of a negative reputation, a fact that Penn has knowingly embraced. In his Oscar acceptance speech for his performance in 2008's Milk, Penn said, "I do know how hard I make it to appreciate me." Penn has also made it clear on other occasions that he knows he can be difficult to work with and even to simply interact with on a personal level. He has been involved in many altercations and blow-ups with the directors of his movies and does not hesitate at all to voice his opposition to their creative decisions. All of this without even getting into his tangled history of domestic abuse allegations and violent altercations in the US and abroad. And while some of them have been disputed by all parties involved, the details remain murky. Morgan Freeman once held a reputation as a kind-hearted man, an upstanding member of society, and a role model for all. Not many actors can claim to be typecast as God, and as the go-to default for narration with one of the most distinctive voices in Hollywood. But after a long and storied career with a gentle and beloved reputation, Freeman was outed as a prolific predator. According to CNN, the actor was accused by at least 8 women of sexual harassment and groping on film sets. Though the news became public during the #MeToo movement that began in 2017, his pattern of inappropriate behavior was well known by those in the industry for years beforehand. A crew member on 2013's Now You See Me revealed that the woman on the shoot all knew to expect unwelcome sexual remarks and touching whenever he was on set. They even collectively decided to wear more conservative clothing in the hopes of combating his advances. Freeman is also known to make film shoots triangle deals for the directors he works with, even in some of his most acclaimed roles. When shooting The Shawshank Redemption, Freeman allegedly refused to do additional takes or follow the script. He also forced the big final moments of the film to be scrapped and changed because he considered them, as he stated in an interview with the New York Daily News, sort of asinine, sort of cliched, sort of unnecessary.